sorry, I was singing something else. Hello, welcome to the Sports Box, where the only opinion that matters, and yes, folks, we're going to throw the freaking Dallas ball, is right here. Welcome to How to Beat the Birds. This is the one you were waiting for. I am Mike Aletta, a.k.a. Hamilton Mike, along with Brian, the Ranger Retard, in full Dallas gear, and we're going to talk some Cowboys. How to beat the Birds this week from the Dallas Cowboys affiliate, right here. Let me give you some stats about Dallas. First of all, on offense, they are ranked 3rd in offensive scoring. They are 17th in defense. They're 19th in passing. They are #1 rushing team in the league. You talk about the Eagles, they're 28th in offense. They're 5th in the league in defense, 29th in passing, and 17th in rushing. Brian, give us a little background. How do you think Dallas looks at this game at home and tries to tackle the Birds?
Can you repeat those to me again, the Eagles' offensive statistics?
I can. It's 28th in offense, 5th in defense, 29th in passing.
28th in offense and 29th in passing.
Correct, and 17th in rushing.
You know, I've heard a lot about Carson Wentz.
Yep.
And how good Carson Wentz is.
Rookie.
Right? Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah, I'm familiar with rookie quarterbacks.
Yep.
But it's funny though. Those seem to be very low rankings. Are they? There's 32. There's 32 teams in the league, right?
Correct. They're not. They're not top 5 in any offensive category.
They're not top 5.
No, we're top 10, by the way.
Interesting. Interesting.
No.
So this is a very interesting game for me, and I say that because the thing about the Cowboys, and we mentioned this before, is you know what they're going to do, and you just can't stop it. They lead the league with 161 rushing yards per game. Thank you, Mr. Ezekiel Elliott, which I still don't like the draft pick. I'm staying consistent with that. But that's really where they beat you.
I like the pick.
It's still too high.
Okay.
Still too high. So the thing about this game is, again, it looks like Prescott's going to play again for Dallas. Maybe that means there's no Romo turnovers.
That is the worst nightmare for the Eagles. Because you don't want to. They would love Tony Romo in there right now to break his back. So
it's the thing about this game that I think is also interesting. It's become more Dak versus Carson rather than the Cowboys.
Yeah,
versus
and
the
I don't
Eagles.
think that's fair. I think they're both good quarterbacks. They'll both be good quarterbacks. But you know, it's not Carson against Dak. It really isn't. It's I'm sorry.
My criticisms of the Dallas defense are well chronicled on the Sports Box, but when you give me numbers like that the Eagles have had,
it is lopsided.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, and they've played some really good defenses like Cleveland, and Chicago, and Washington. I mean, these are really
They have beat Pittsburgh and the Vikings. Give them credit.
Listen, absolutely. No. I'm saying from the standpoint of you telling me how great the kid is, and I do think they have a franchise quarterback in this player. No question about it. And that was the concern when you give a bunch of draft picks up to get him. But I just, I'm not a big believer in Dak yet either. I just think that a half a year is just way too soon to start making these long-term prognostications.
Absolutely.
The Dallas defense is not good. The Eagles defense is very good. I think it's better than a lot of people gave them any credit for coming into the year. They're ranked right now.
'Tis the reason why they slowed down Pittsburgh and Minnesota.
Well, absolutely. And they've done well. I mean, the game against Minnesota, their offense was putrid, but they were able to get it done defensively. Again, I think it's a very interesting game. I think that the way that you beat a team like the Eagles is you make them one-dimensional. But they kind of do it themselves because they don't really run the ball that much. But if you make it so, the kid quarterback's got to beat you. Again, I don't like Dallas' secondary that much, but they're playing better than I think that they were that they've given any indication that they were going to. This is going to be a clock control game. Again, the game plan, Mike, is it's just like 2014 all over again. Dallas will use Elliott the way they used DeMarco Murray, and Elliott's a much more talented than DeMarco Murray, to control the clock and keep their defense off the field because their defense isn't that good. In effect, your running game becomes like a defense. So from that standpoint, I think what you're going to see happen is Dallas is going to run the ball a lot. My biggest concern in a game like this is I believe Des Bryant's going to play. There is an inclination, and this goes back to the days when T.O. was on the Cowboys. And the inclination is to try to force feed the receiver the ball. The problem with that is that's not your strength. I think you use the run game to open up the passing game. You necessarily use the pass game more than you need to, especially, again, a kid like Prescott. Elliott's playing so well. It'll be a really interesting game.
I think Dez is a weapon coming back. He's obviously your best receiver, but in the same sense, Dez has been out for a while, so I don't think you can expect too much of him. Is he going to get some catches? Absolutely he will. But you know what? I think the one thing the Eagles have to worry about, it might sound crazy, but Cole Beasley. Here's a guy like Edelman that can sneak out and be a little streaky player across the middle, not worry about getting hit and beat you up. And the Eagles' problem is they're not getting the ball to Ertz enough. I mean, you think with a guy like that, they get the ball over the middle to him, dump off. They're not getting the ball to him, and the receivers that they have aren't reliable receivers. Let's put it out there. They're not reliable receivers.
But whose fault is that? Whose fault is it that Ertz isn't getting the ball? I think it's a lot more Ertz, frankly.
Yeah, and I think it's checked down. The offense is not dumbed down a little bit, but checked down enough to where he's dumping off screen passes and going after the receivers and not getting the ball out to Ertz as much. Now, do the Eagles have to do that to win this game? I don't think it matters because I think the linebackers for the Cowboys can pick that up. So Ertz might not be as effective in this game. I think it's all going to come down to running. If you slow down Ezekiel Elliott, that's the way the Eagles are going to slow down Dallas. But if you're not slowing down Ezekiel Elliott, you got a lot of problems. You look at the running real quick. Ryan Matthews, 67 carries, 262 yards. Darren Sproles, 31 carries, 142 yards. Now, you look at those two stats combined, you look at Ezekiel Elliott, 137 carries so far, 703 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's more than both of the Eagles' running attack combined. So it's going to be a tough sledding for the Eagles this week.
Again, you know what's coming and you can't stop it. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. They're going to run it right down the Eagles' throat.
Yeah.
You know, again, I'm going to say Dallas wins the game. I'm going to say it's probably close. I mean, probably, you know, it's definitely within a score. I mean, it's not going to be anything more than that. But I think it comes down to being able to run the ball. If Dallas can stay with the run and not fall into that trap of trying to throw the ball more than you need to, and again, you mentioned Cole Beasley's name. Yeah. Cole Beasley he could be a target machine in a game like this because they might go for that short pass until the deep pass is available to use Dez a little bit more. And it's going to be Dez's first game back in a while, so he may not really want to get him rushed in. I mean, you kind of got to pump the brakes a little bit with the idea that you have to get Dez the ball so much. But again, you know, I like Dallas in the game. It's not a homer pick, frankly. I just think I haven't liked Dallas in many games that they've won this year.
So if you're a Dallas defense, what are you keen on with the Birds? Where are you going? Are you going to load up the box and let Carson throw on you, or are you going? I think it's the other way around. I think you slow down the pass a little bit and let them run on you.
Well, I think they can't run, and that's the thing.
That's the thing. I think you stop the passing, Carson Wentz, because you know he can throw the ball. Just the receivers aren't getting the ball, and I think you let them run on you and get those yards a little bit here and there, and I think you beat the Eagles.
I think, now, what may happen in a situation like that is if Dallas is running well and is able to get up a score or two, it may force the Eagles to maybe throw the ball a little bit more than they want
That's true.
to. But again, I mean, you know, there are a couple people that believe there's tape on Carson Wentz now, and then things have, and I think it was Kenny Jones who said that last week in the Vikings game. Didn't really work out for him. Yep. But there's tape on him now, so it's a little bit different. But again, I'm not a big proponent of the Dallas defense. I think there's a lot of holes on it. I don't think they get a lot of pass rush. So it'll be very interesting to see how they handle it. I think Wentz can have an okay game. I don't think he can won't blow up, in my opinion. But again, I think the difference is Dallas knows what they're good at, and they're going to hopefully do what they're good at, which is run the ball, and then when you're done, run the ball a little bit more.
Predictions for the game, I'm saying, like I said, the Cowboys, I think they can win. I think they win this game. I'm not saying the Eagles can't win this game, but I don't see it as a good matchup for the Eagles. I think Dallas wins 28-17.
I think the Eagles beat Minnesota last week in a game that people that think they were gonna win. It's still a rivalry. Obviously, you don't get happy because you beat the Vikings last week going into Dallas. So I'll take Dallas at home. From a score perspective, you say 28-17? 28-17. I think it's a little bit closer than that. I'm gonna go with 24-20.
I just think the Eagles running into 2 top 4 teams back-to-back weeks is going to be a hard challenge for anybody, and I just don't think Carson Wentz is at that level yet to get it done or get people on his back and say, "Hey, let's win this game." If he does, hey, I'll be surprised. Again, Eagle fans, you want to see Carson Wentz make the progress. You don't care if he's winning game after game after game. You want to see him make the progress and take the steps to move forward as a quarterback. That's who you don't want to see him go backwards. You want to see him move forward. So that's the big plan. So if they lose, you want to see progress. So that's all the time we have for the Sports Box. I want to thank Brian. Well, wait a minute, you're here all the time anyway. So what the hell? I want to thank you.
I'm always here.
Yep, except our monkey staff. We got to get rid of those clowns. So anyway. Thanks for watching Beat the Birds. We have it every week about who the Eagles play because remember, we always have some good stuff coming.
And of course, you can find that good stuff at Sportsbox Show on Twitter, on Facebook, and on our YouTube channel. And again, the great thing about our Facebook page is we like to post things there so you can find them very easily, get a little bit of a summary of what we're talking about that show, make sure it's what you're looking for. And if it's not what you're looking for, hey, tell us what you're looking for so we can do it for you.
And remember, at the Sports Box, the only opinion that matters. You want to touch it before I throw? Bye-bye, Lamb. It's right here. Thanks for watching, folks. See you.
Go Cowboys.
Don't forget to subscribe.